All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gourmet Talks with Voosh, where we talk to some of the most innovative restaurant operators across the globe. And in the first episode, I'm super excited to have Chris from Plant Burger. I've been a big fan of Plant Burger. Chris is a good friend as well. So, hello, Chris. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. So happy to have you. So let's just jump in, man. Can you talk a little bit? I am a big fan of Plant Burger, and we've been friends. But can you talk a little bit about Plant Burger? Can you let our audience know what great stuff you've been doing at Plant Burger to start with, and then we'll sort of keep taking things forward.
So Plant Burger is your traditional American fare burger joint, right? So we're like McDonald's, just better for you, better for the planet. Our goal is to create a really low barrier of entry for people. So, I think everybody agrees that we need to do more for the planet. We need to do more for our health. It's tough to make some of those decisions on a regular basis, especially with your diet. So for us, cheeseburger is a very easy, low barrier of entry for people. So, uh, you know, people are willing to eat a cheeseburger on a regular basis. So if they're willing to kind of, give up the traditional burger they would eat and eat a plant burger, they're going to, on average, save 14.4 kilograms of CO2, 126 gallons of water, and 7.63 square meters of land. So again, like super low barrier of entry, eat a burger, it tastes delicious, and you do your part at the same time, we currently have
That's
13 locations.
okay. Okay,
Sorry, go
sounds
ahead.
good. I mean, as a philosophy, I think this is amazing, man. I think as a restaurant operator, people mostly take things on a negative side, but you are one of the brands who are actually, contributing so much to our environment as well. And one thing which really fascinates me is the live counter which you have put on the website, which is like super super fancy. Would you like? Can you let our audience know like what was the thought process behind that and some of the top of the mind numbers, which you would want to share with anyone who is watching this video?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, most people, even people that are vegan, are doing it for different reasons, whether it be dietary, it be, your interest in, helping the planet. There's a lot of different reasons for people, but most people don't necessarily realize the amount of resources that go into consuming 1 calorie of hamburger meat. So for us, I thought this was a great way to really show people, just by eating a cheeseburger. Most people are thinking, okay, I need to turn my water off. I need to stop using plastic straws. I need to drive an electric car. There's all these different, massive changes people need to make in their lives. We're all going to the store now and not being able to get plastic bags anymore, and paying 10 cents for a paper bag. But I don't think that many people really realize that your dietary choices have such a massive impact. I mean, if we, factory farming, animal agriculture has a much larger impact on the environment than really anything that you could do. It creates more carbon emissions than every transportation sector combined. And I don't think people are aware of that. So what we thought would be cool is you put this counter on the website and really allow people to see the impact that you're having just by changing your diet. So what it's doing now is it's taking kind of our average basket size and then it's applying that to this counter based on what the average savings is per burger. So you can see now liters of water, it's up to 817,623,738, and it's growing like every second, um, which is to me is really, really interesting. And even before I started with Plant Burger, I didn't realize that. I mean, I personally ate food and did my part like everyone else thought I was doing my part and didn't realize the impact that I could have just by changing what I eat. So I think it's super interesting. I think people love to see it. We've actually added it to our app too, so now you can personally see your own individual impact. So every time you make a purchase, it'll apply that to your impact tracker on the app, which is pretty cool too.
Oh, that's amazing. A big shout out to Plant Burger and Chris. So when you're eating your next Plant Burger, you're not just eating a delicious burger, you're actually saving gallons of water as well. So kudos, man. I really, really appreciate that. And yeah, this that differentiates you, from the lot. I feel, you know, everyone is just running after, the standard KPIs, but I feel that your KPIs are really as, how it should be. So, man, kudos again. So what next from here, man? What are your plans for the coming year? How do you see your brand shaping up? What are your like short-term goals, like long-term plans? Where do you want to take the brand from now on?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, we're building a location in Brookline, Massachusetts. That's super short term. Need to get that open. We're hoping to open that at the end of August. Long-term plans is world domination. There's a plant burger, every 2 miles, and it's akin to McDonald's, just with plants. So, we try to be very innovative. We're constantly looking at our menu. The cool thing about, the plant-based space right now is that science is continuing to evolve. So product is continuing to get better. It's getting more tasty. It's getting easier to access. Um, so we're constantly looking to innovate. We're constantly changing things. We just launched, our version of the quarter pounder. We call it the BIG burger. Um, so just trying to make it again. It needs to be very delicious. I think, Elon Musk did it best, right? He took the electric car, which people kind of thought was cheesy and not fun, and he made it super cool. So now when you go buy a Tesla, you're not necessarily doing it, for any other reason other than you think it's cool, right? I want to buy the coolest,
Yeah,
fastest,
yeah.
badass car I can. So we want to do that the same way. We just want to make this super delicious burger. So you're going there not just because of all the great things that it does for your health and for the environment, but also because it's the best tasting burger you can get. So we'll continue to innovate. We'll continue to try to make the product taste and perform better and better every day, and continue to grow, man. Anywhere we can be successful. So.
No, awesome. That sounds great, and all the best for that. That brings me to my next question. You were mentioning that you want to build a cool product. How do you see that, the perception changing? Do you feel that the future is going to be vegan? How do have you seen like some of the shifts happening in the consumer behavior? Do you have some trends, some numbers, broad numbers around that? That like this portion of the consumer might shift to vegan burgers or vegan food in general. Like I'm from San Francisco, and I personally have seen a very, very big shift, honestly, more and more, because I'm a vegetarian myself. And, for me, it used to be a challenge like last decade of finding good, vegetarian slash vegan food. Now I feel, especially in big cities like San Francisco, that problem has solved, and we've seen a cultural shift, but like better than anyone else. So, like, what are your thoughts on overall consumer perception around this segment?
Yeah, I mean, I talk a lot about electric cars 'cause I think it's a similar trajectory, right? I mean, if you look at when Elon Musk got involved with Tesla, most other big car companies were saying it was silly. They'd either completely given up on electric cars, or they had one unit that they were selling that wasn't doing very well. Other than Toyota and the Prius, not many companies had, and Prius isn't even fully electric, had found a fully electric car that was selling well. And most of them kind of thought this was silly. It wasn't going to go anywhere. Which I think in the beginning, if you look at plant-based foods, it's probably the same, right? McDonald's still doesn't have a plant-based option. Burger King was kind of the first to the party there. Um, and I think a lot of people thought, okay, well, it's just a trend. It's something people are going to do. But I think more and more, as you see the science around it, the fact that it's better for you personally, it's better for the planet. Really, our current food system is unsustainable. So if something doesn't change, I mean, we're going to have a lot of hungry people 100 years from now. So I think in general, more and more people are adapting to it and adopting it. If you look at, advertising, for instance, right? You go back 20 years ago, you saw a lot of sports athletes endorsing, some of the bigger, restaurants, fast food chains. You don't see that as much anymore. You're seeing more and more people, whether it be athletes, whether it be, more of your kind of famous people, adopting this plant-based diet. And I think similar to electric cars, you're seeing a vegan option on every menu. You're seeing, people identify it on the menu. Servers, when you go out to eat, are more educated in the fact of what is vegan, what is not. There's apps that show you. And if you look at, we actually have this page in our on our deck, in our pitch deck, that shows the trajectory of electric cars, and then it shows kind of where we are as a plant-based movement. And I would say we're probably kind of 5 years away from it being full adoption, where every restaurant is pledging to go fully plant-based. And because again, there's just more and more science around it. There's more and more adaptation, and it's delicious. I mean, it's not same as electric cars. People were like, I'm not going to give up my my really fast, cool gas guzzler to go drive this electric car. And they made it so it wasn't anymore. I mean, I actually had a very fast gas guzzler uh, that I would get my doors blown off by. I actually did get my doors blown off by a Tesla Plaid at one point. And we want to do the same thing, right? We want to make, and I think it's happening now. There's not a sacrifice. You as a vegetarian, you know this. You can eat food now that it tastes just as good, if not better, sometimes than the options out there. So um, it's so much easier. I mean, not me personally. I actually wasn't vegan until 5 months ago. Right, I made the full switch, and I've always kind of looked at our customer base as, we're not just looking for vegans, right? We want everybody. We want the flexitarian. We want the people that are willing to kind of trade off every once in a while, whether it's for health reasons or just because they want something different in their diet. And it wasn't until really about 5 months ago that I really started to dig in and I started to listen to all of the science and and it just hit me, and I think more that's happening to more and more people, and I think it's going to continue to happen. Um, so in my opinion, I would say we're probably, between 5 and 10 years away from this, very similar to where we are with electric cars, where people are full adaptation, pledging to go fully plant-based. And you're seeing it even with the largest of restaurants.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So on that note, do you feel, since you mentioned McDonald's and some of the prominent brands, you feel that at some point, when this category becomes like really significant, you're gonna face the heat from some of these established brands as well, in coming times? Or you feel that, since you would be like the category creator in some way, you will definitely have an edge as to, something similar to, Tesla having an edge
Yeah,
compared to, of
sure.
course,
I mean,
Toyota.
you need to be quick, right? Like if we don't grow at a certain pace, for sure. I mean, tomorrow, one of these larger brands could go plant-based and destroy every small brand there is. You know what I mean? Um, so you need to go fast. You need to be ahead of the curve. And I think we're doing that. I mean, I think we've we know what we're doing currently, and we're continuing to innovate. We're not going to get lazy. We're not going to just sell the same old product forever. We're going to continue to look at ways to make the product better. We switched our chicken product a year and a half ago. Um, yeah, you got to be fast. It's the same thing Tesla did. They put themselves in a position where they couldn't be destroyed by a larger brand. But I mean, who knows? 10 years from now, if Toyota is the biggest electric car company in the world, you don't know. Um, and if that happened, hey, listen, the best thing in my opinion, for the world would be for that to happen, right? Like if we can't become the McDonald's of the future, it would be great for McDonald's to be the McDonald's of the future because they've got the ability to do that. And it would still be what's great for the planet. I would like that to be us, and we'll continue to push that. But it's great to see so many other players now in the space doing it really well and continuing to grow because it's ultimately the best thing for the mission.
Oh, that's a very nice thought process, Chris. Loved it, loved it. Let's switch gears a little bit now. Let's, since you're talking about innovation, let's talk about technology in general, right? You've been a restaurant operator, right? How important do you feel a role technology plays in the life of a restaurant operator, right, on a day-to-day basis? And if you are from the industry, how have you seen sort of technology evolving in the sector and in the present 21st century? How important is it to embrace technology being a restaurant operator?
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things to a restaurant operator is time. Anybody that's ever worked in the business will tell you you're constantly needing more time, whether it be to make something for a customer or it be to get your job done before the end of the day. And I think as operators, we're always trying to drill down to the data, right? Like you can run a restaurant at a very kind of face level, right? Like sell food, make it good, take care of customers, move on. But then there's all this granular data that's incredibly important. But if you're just kind of looking at the surface level, you'll miss. And in the past, I was Mr. Spreadsheet guy. It was like I had 300 spreadsheets. I spent hours and hours of my day creating all this information and digging through the data. And it was impactful, super impactful. So I would never have stopped doing it, but I spent so much of my time doing it that I was not able to do the surface stuff as well, right? Like I'm doing the granular data stuff well. I'm digging into the analytics and I'm maximizing our potential in every way I can from that perspective. But the surface level stuff, gets away from you then. Like there has to be a balance. And I think now that technologies continue to evolve and more of these companies out there now doing that work for you, then now you're able to do both. I can have all the information that used to take me hours to build right at my fingertips, sometimes on your phone, super easy for you to get. You can get notifications about it, all kinds of stuff, versus having to spend that time. And now you can really focus. I mean, nowadays, when I go to a store, I make it a point to leave my book bag in the car. Like I don't take my laptop in. I make sure I'm there. I'm present with everyone. 10 years ago, that was impossible for me. I mean, I was sitting in a store, I was on a laptop, I was at home, I was on a laptop, I was in my car, I was probably on my phone while driving, which is not good. I was constantly trying to consume this data. Whereas now so many different, businesses have now found a way to give you the data in a way that's easily digestible and you're able to communicate it to your teams. They're able to dig into it without the time of, building all these fancy sheets.
No, that's great to know. Now, talking about technology, right? So third parties have been catching up, right? And it's still a lot of brands are and operators are debating the significance of third party, and especially post the pandemic. The share of third party business has gone up significantly. Wanted to know personally, for Plant Burger, how much significance do you give to third parties in general, and how have you seen the trends evolving for Plant Burger in general? Yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah. I mean, one, I think it's a necessary evil. I think it's an unavoidable piece of your business. I mean, at this point, it consumes, 39% of our business. So it's certainly not something that we can avoid. And if we did, we would probably be out of business. Um, and I think in general, what we've tried to do, and what I would say is the way to do it is, we've kind of welcomed it instead of looking at it as a, super expensive piece of our business, we've tried to find ways to maximize it. So, you know, the one thing that we do is we look at it as this really great marketing opportunity. So if I'm going to sell my product to people, right now I have my own ecosystem of guests. All of those guests have eaten at my restaurant before. So I can market to them, I can do promotions, I can retarget them, I can do all these, fancy things, but I can't grow my customer base through my own current ecosystem. I can only market to them and try to grow sales. I can grow my customer base elsewhere, whether it be through socials or, other marketing tactics, but I can't do that through my own ecosystem. Now, if you look at Uber, you're marketing to their ecosystem of guests. So when you're running a promotion or you're running an ad, you're not just running it to people that have eaten with you before. You're running it to their massive ecosystem of customers, which is something you couldn't do any other way. It's like being able to put a billboard on the busiest street in the country and, turn guests over that way. So what we've done instead is we lean into it. I mean, I have monthly meetings with my Uber rep. I just had one yesterday, actually. We have a promotion running on there pretty constantly. We're targeting new customers. We're looking at a 50-50 blend right now. Um, it just, to me, it makes sense to want to market to those people because also, like, let's just say 39% of my business is third party. There's definitely a percentage of my in-store guests or my app guests that have come through third party. They've eaten through third party channels before. They realize it's less expensive to eat from us, so they're going to go directly to the source. And I wouldn't have been able to be exposed to them any other way. So we look at it as a great opportunity for exposure, not just an expensive channel of business.
Got it. Got it. But one very interesting, term you mentioned was a necessary evil, right? So let's talk about like some of the challenges which you face, on third parties, and you can be like a mouthpiece for other brands as well. Like, what are the key challenges in general operators face while they're working with third parties? So yeah.
For sure. And outside of the expense, which I think we all know, they're not your employees, right? So that can be the most frustrating. I remember working at another restaurant chain, and a delivery driver came in to pick up an order, and they picked up the order, set it on a table, and then got in line to get food. And I walked out and was like, "Hey, can you go deliver that food? Super happy that you want to get food here, but I would also like you to deliver the food that you just picked up for this customer." And, they basically told me to go F myself and they were going to wait in line. And by the way, this was a long line. This wasn't a short line. This was the busiest time of the day. And all the while this food is sitting there undelivered and there's nothing you can do. You feel very, if that was my own employee, you can absolutely have some disciplinary action. They're probably going to listen to you and do what you want. So I think that's probably the toughest thing to manage, right? Is you don't have a lot of control once it leaves the building. You do everything you can to try to make the product, make it well. And then the exposure to the guest is really kind of on that delivery driver. So, you know, you struggle sometimes with errors and with, things that are outside of your control. You do everything you can to mitigate those. You seal bags, you have, check marks outside of the bags to make sure the product gets in there, but you still can't control what happens in that 30-minute drive to the customer's house. So, to me, that's probably the most difficult thing to manage as an operator is, how to ensure that 30 to minutes to an hour of time that you have no control over, how are you mitigating those risks?
Yeah, interesting, interesting. And like overall, what do you feel, around transparency? Because that's a big debate, right? I've been going to a lot of conferences, and that was like a constant topic of discussion that they are not being transparent enough with the operators. Have you faced any such difficulty, or in general, you feel that it's still like in many aspects like a black box for restaurant operators in certain situations? What's your take on that?
I mean, I think it's kind of your individual, experiences. One of my cousins actually has a restaurant and, you know, getting killed with fees and doesn't understand to manage it. I think we've managed to have a close enough relationship with them that we don't really experience that. Um, the data's there, I think, for you to dig into. Again, you know, some of it's tough to get to, right? Like if I want to go export data from one of my third party channels, I'm probably going to get some very, big data, 3,000 lines, looks like code to most people. If you're not really great with spreadsheets, you're not going to be able to create a, a search function to find the data you need by store. Um, so I think that's probably difficult when people are looking at like the reporting capabilities of a lot of them. Which maybe to your point, they don't care much about that, right? They're delivering product to customers and making money through it. So it can definitely be tough if you don't know how to look and you're not tech savvy enough. Again, I told you I've built spreadsheets for everything all the time. So for me, I've been able to dig in and find it, but I can definitely see how someone, who isn't doing those kind of things on a regular basis, like, how do I know what store is taking the longest to deliver a product? How do I know what store is the most errors? How do I know what stores um, is doing that? So I can definitely see how that could be difficult for sure.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, that just bring me to the last question, right? You've been a Woosh user for some time. You want to highlight some of the things, which Woosh made easier for you, specifically, while talking about third-party business, anything you want to talk about would be super, super helpful for our audience. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, the thing that's, and most people who've been in business a long time remember, like 5, 6 years ago, there was no such thing as an error fee, right? Like food left the building, it got paid for, and then suddenly these third party businesses realize, well, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. Now I'm going to charge back the customer for these problems. So, you went from food got made, left the building, you have no control over what happens, so you get paid, to food gets made, leaves the building, you still have no control over what happens. But if it doesn't make it to the customer, or it gets eaten in the process, or it gets delivered, a lot of these drivers are taking 2 and 3 items. We've had customers, and we're, a vegan restaurant. I remember this one complaint where they received a milkshake, an actual milkshake from a totally different restaurant and not ours. And these are things you have no control over, right? But they're getting billed back to you. And, like I said earlier, time is such a massive importance to you. There's some of them have the ability to go on and dispute these on your own. Some of them don't. Some of them are easy. Most of them are not. Um, so you get charged these fees, thousands of dollars some months for things, again, completely outside of your control in many cases. So for me, Voosh, when I first started back, because I didn't know anything about revenue recapture when Voosh first approached us. And when I found that out, I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, you guys are going to go and dispute all these things for me and save me money. And I literally don't have to do anything. I can just have it set and set it, forget it kind of mode. So for me, that's the biggest thing. And the fact that you do it with all the channels makes it amazing. And then one thing for me that I really love is I love data. So I'm like a data junkie. It's why I used to spend so much time creating these spreadsheets, which even now that the data is easier to get, I still find myself creating some spreadsheets. But the dashboard on Voosh to me is just so amazing. There's so much data you can dig into. You can see all of the metrics that you don't have to now go into individual brands to look at. You can see them in one place by all of your stores and really look at how you perform. I mean, I don't know how much people dig into the algorithm of this, but placement on the app is really based on performance. So like if you have a store that's struggling in any way through any of these metrics, whether it be delivery time, error corrects, any one of the metrics that the algorithm is looking at, it'll force you farther down. And that's the most important thing, right? If I'm number 4 in the queue or I'm number 33 is going to really impact my sales. So the ability to drill down into this stuff and immediately impact it, say, okay, store A is struggling with delivery time. They're struggling with courier wait time, or they have a large amount of downtime. These are all things that if you didn't have a tool to look into, you're probably not going to see. So you're not going to know that this store is struggling with it, and you can't impact it. But once you can impact, now you can change where you are in the feed if you're number 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, which is going to ultimately impact your sales.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I think this was amazing, and you took out time and you shared your journey and you shared your experiences around how technology has shaped this industry. That was super super helpful. Towards the end, I want to give a shout out to everyone. Just go and order a plant burger right now to save the planet. Chris is doing an amazing job. I think you are. I really, really admire you as an operator. I'm just talking this from bottom of my heart because when I talk to other operators, they're only talking about the standard KPIs, right? What is my profitability? What is my food cost, right? How do I optimize here and there in my supply chain? And how do I make sure that the world eats more junk, right? That's their primary KPI. And I really, really appreciate your vision and overall your efforts towards saving the planet. So yeah, I mean, kudos to that, man. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Prem. Appreciate it.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Chris. For spending time with me and doing this conversation.
Absolutely. Anytime.